Metal beams delivery to the power plant. Hello there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of SnowRunner at OpenFed Gaming. I am the OpenFed. After a debacle the other day trying to deliver the metal rolls up here to the steel mill, we finally got here after we'd been rescued by the Cuz, and we are now crafting our 2 loads of metal beams, and we're gonna try and deliver them to the power plant now, because that was the whole idea. Now I got a little secret. Well, I don't know if it's a secret, but I don't like to go with one load of metal beams. I'd like to take both of them at the same time. So what I do is I slide the one load back, and then I take the other load and I put it crossways in front. It's a little bit of playing around, but after a while you get a little bit better at it, and it goes a little bit quicker. Anyhow, it's easier for me to do this than to try and pull a trailer that will hold both of them at the same time. If you can't do that, then you're going to have to deliver one at a time, and it just makes for the jobs becoming a lot longer. So I figured, well, let's see if we can make a shortcut and take both of them with us at the same time. Now, as you can see, it takes a little bit of maneuvering to try and get that beam in there, you know, the metal beams. It doesn't always work on the first try, but eventually you do get it in there. Just slide it over. Just slide it over and drop her down. And then after I get it in, I just put the crane down and I hold it. And that way, the back one won't come off because it's strapped on. The front one won't come off because he's being held by the crane. And even if you don't hold it with the crane, it doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of sits there. But what you do got to keep in mind is that you get a little bit heavy on either side. Plus, it sticks out, oh, I'd say about a foot and a half on either side of your rear view mirrors. So you got to keep that in mind. But the Kenworth is a tough truck, and he can haul a lot of weight and still move. But there's even some things that the Kenworth can't do, as we will find out. Now, we first got to get down the hill and get back to where we first flipped that truck with the metal rolls. But we got rescued by the Cuz. Now, the Cuz is sitting down there waiting for us because I had put him, originally I had put him up at the steel mill, and he was there as a mobile fuel station, but he was also there as a rescue vehicle in case anything happened. So as it was needed, I needed him to rescue the Kenworth, and now he's the fuel station because we've only got 149 liters left in the tank and 140 on top of the roof. So we don't have a lot of extra fuel. We still got to get to the Cuz, so we're going to use up quite a bit of this fuel too, because this mud path here is starting to get a little, the more you drive through it, the worse it gets, and it's starting to get bad. So hopefully we don't have to come back to the steel mill soon, and we should be okay. So as we're trying to get through here, like I said before, when you are driving through tough areas like this, you got to watch out for stumps and trees that got arms that'll reach out and grab you, and roots that are sticking up out of the ground. Other than that, the boulders are not too much of a problem for the Kenworth. However, now that we got this heavy side load on there, you do have to be a little careful when you're leaning towards one side, like right there. But most of the time, if you take it easy and go a little bit slower, she's going to make it all right, you know, but you still got to be careful. Now, the way I look at it is that if anything happens, at least the 2 loads of metal beams are closer to the power plant now than they were when we started. So I always look at the progress, because I can always recover the truck and pick up the beams and continue on the journey. We would prefer to deliver in one shot. That would be the best. So as we're coming here, like I said, you got to be a little careful with the rocks. Try not to drive over top of the rocks because it'll tilt your truck too far to the left or the right. Now for anybody who saw part 1 or part 2 of the metal roll delivery, this is where we dump the truck. Now we are doing this video in 2 parts. There's metal beams delivery part 1, there's metal beams delivery part 2, and you will soon find out the reason for that. Now we still got to get up the road here. As you can see, the Tuz is sitting there waiting, but it's just too much of an angle here, and I don't think we're gonna make it without flipping it again. And I didn't want to do that, so let's back her up and let's just bring her right down into the entrance of the log yard and try to go up a little bit further on the side there where the angle might not be quite so steep. So we'll back her right up. Like I said, there where the dirt is, it's a little bit easier to go up. So that's what we're going to do. Now, like I mentioned before, if you're into games that go fast or quick, this is not it. You have to have patience, and if you don't have any, this game will quickly teach you about patience. So if that's not your bag, then don't be playing this game, because it can get very, very frustrating. I've been frustrated many times with this game. Didn't know what to do, and then sometimes it's best just to shut it down and come back the next day and look at it with a fresh eye. But for now, we're still here, and we're up beside the Tuz. Now we're going to fuel up from him, take all the fuel he's got, because we're not going to need him anymore, because with every foot traveled we get further and further away from him, so there's no point in leaving any fuel back here. Because as we're heading out towards the power plant, where the beams that go, it is just outside the garage. So if worst comes to worst case scenario, if something happens and I need more fuel, then I can always recall another vehicle from the garage. Having said that, we're gonna climb up this narrow little goat trail. What I tell you is, the graphics are absolutely fantastic in this game. I really enjoy it. See, now here you got to watch out you don't hit that telephone pole with the beams, because they will hit the pole and you won't be able to go by, so then you have to back up and go forwards again. And as we're coming around the corner here, we're back up by the little church where I left that trailer, the logging trailer for long logs on the road. Now when you leave the church area, you can either go down the road where all the water is, or you can go four-wheeling. And if you go four-wheeling, it's a little bit easier to take. Through the water, very tough, it's deep water, and there's a lot of places you get stuck. So I don't go from here on. I don't take the tracks. I go through the side here, and I bypass all the water. Now I do believe in a minute here I'm going to check the mini-map, because I've been away for a little bit here, and now I'm back at this area, and I can't remember exactly where I had to go. So I'm gonna try and... The little trees here, don't worry too much about them. This is the thing with SnowRunner. They plant these trees and then thinking or hoping that you would avoid them, I suppose, and because you don't think you can run into them, you don't want to run them over, so you keep going around them. But you got to think outside the box and not worried about the little ones, because the little ones you can run over and just act as if they're not there. Now this is where we're at, and we're going to go around the water and back up on the road there, just like that. Not too difficult. But I just had to put the marker down, because when you put a marker down, as you can see the little blue teardrop in the black square with a number above it, that marker will show you the direction. If you go too far to the left, it'll point back to where the marker is. So if you put the marker on the tracks that you want to drive, then it'll always keep you on the track. So as we're coming up around here, now you can see the two trees straight in front. Obviously we got to go in between them, and just beyond that is that rock and that little watery area. Now, like I was saying earlier, with the metal beams being crossways in the front, it's highly unlikely they're going to slip out. Put it this way, if they slip out the side, you're going to be at such a tilt, you're going to be flipping your truck. So I'm not too worried about it. Now here, I like to hold on to the beams and wait, but if it takes too long, then I lose my patience and I just take the cable and I winch it. I winch it on the tree, but I have to let go of the metal beams to do that. I try to go backwards and get a little bit of a different angle on it, but it doesn't really help all that much. So I'm as impatient as the next guy. The OPAFET doesn't like to wait for success either, or not too long anyhow. And then it's time to throw out the winch. Let's go, boys. Here we go. And you can put it towards any spot you want on your truck, towards any tree you want. Now you can also throw it out automatically, and then what it'll do is it'll grab the nearest tree or nearest thing it can hook onto. It'll grab that. Okay, so not always the one you want, but that's what it'll do. So you can do it automatically, but sometimes you have to. But here, if you remember the mini map, here we've bypassed all the water. You can see it on the left hand side. And we're going to get back on the track here. Try and cut it so that you don't tip your truck to the left too much. And we can stay fairly level. Now there's another little problem area just up ahead. Oh well, first we get this muddy problem area, which is another pain. And with this too, when you're driving through mud, you can wiggle your tires back and forth. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. As long as it helps, do that. Then when it doesn't help anymore, throw your winch out and pull yourself forward. Sometimes all it takes, you can sit there like that for 5 or 10 minutes and maybe only move a foot, but sometimes all it takes is just to jar the truck loose. So put it up on a nice strong tree, because the little ones you just pull them over. And as you can see, once you pull the truck loose, now she moves again. But this is an area that's fairly lengthy here, or well, fairly lengthy. It's a little distance, and you keep getting stuck on it. See, here we go. Now we pull a little bit more, and then we move a little bit more again. And yeah, it's frustrating, but sometimes you just gotta grin and bear it, you know, as we're going through here. But just don't flip it. We don't want to flip the truck. If we do flip it, let's be a little bit closer to home, because then we'll have to recall the Tuz from the garage to come and rescue us again. Oh boy. Anyhow, we're gonna get pulled through here now by this tree, and I think that we're finally broke loose here. We're finally through the worst of it. But that's this little bit of mud and that little bit of time that it takes you to get through it. That's not the worst of your problems. You got bigger problems to worry about. So here we go. We finally broke loose. Now we're out of it. And try, like I said before, try and miss the boulders as much as you can, even with the Kenworth, because of the load, the cargo you're carrying. Now here's that little, I don't know what you call it. It's a crack in the rocks, and you just got to kind of straddle the rocks, straddle the crack on either side. But I slide off of it a little bit. Oh, right here. You go. Oh, I sure didn't want to flip it here, and I just got lucky. Just got lucky and pulled it out of there. Oh boy, I tell you. Well, the worst part, I think, is done. If you'd go straight here, you'd be at the tunnel to go to Northern Ages installation, but that's not where we got to go. We got to go back towards the power plant. So we'll miss that mud pit on the right-hand side there. It doesn't look like much, but you will get stuck in there. I know, because I've been stuck in there. Then when you come down here, you got that little bit of ice with the logs, and then we got some rock crawling to do after that. Now you would think that the Kenworth is not much of a rock crawler, and if you were thinking that, then you'd be right. And he isn't, especially with 2 loads of metal beams on here. You know, that little bit of extra weight. But we're going to do it anyhow. Now, the good thing about it is we're crawling rocks at a downward slant, which is not too difficult. It's the upwards one that we have a little bit of trouble with. So as we're coming down here to this deserted little village, if you've been watching any of my videos, then you'll know to the right, at the end here, are the big rocky areas, and we gotta go down and get the ice level in between the two rocky areas, just to the right. We're going to go to the right and go around this rock, this big rock right to my left. And as it doesn't look like a big rocky area that you're climbing over, but trust me, it is. And he doesn't always go quite as well as he did today, because I've had trouble going down here before. Going up seemed to be fairly easy, but going down here, but today was okay. As you can see, there's quite a few boulders there. Now the Tuz can't go up and down over those boulders. They're just too big, it gets high centered and then you can't move it. So as we get over it, we're on the ice, and this is good solid ice. You don't have to worry about it breaking through as the sun is coming down. Now we just gotta travel along the side of the ice without falling into the water, and you can see the bridge up ahead. Just before that bridge on the right hand side, we got to climb up. Now I had a few little issues along here. This one I usually go around to the outside of that big rock, but this time I thought I'm going to go on the inside because I really don't want to take a chance of dumping the truck again. And then when we come here, we can just, there's lots of room there. You can just go by. Pretty easy. Anyhow, when we get to the edge here, to the end, we got that area where we got to climb up over top of rocks to try and get up the hill. And I spent, a long time trying to climb up. Back and forth, and I finally decided to dump the one load of metal beams. Still couldn't get up, so I ended up calling in for the rescue team. So I'm gonna save you the pain and agony of watching me try to get up this rocky area. You can't get up by the snow there because it's too much of an angle, but I eventually end up climbing up there because I get yanked over there. But this part here, now I should have been able to climb over top of the rocks on the right hand side. So I tried the snowy area first, and I get stuck with my back tire in front of that rock, and if I would bring the rear end over further, then she would be sitting way too angly to the right. So I didn't want to do that. So then, after trying this for several minutes and getting frustrated, I decided to go back and try it right up beside the rock. I didn't want to try that at first because the metal beams are sticking out so far, but I had to try something. So anyhow, you watch what happens, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and maybe got some tips and tricks out of it. And hopefully you'll come back for part 2 of the metal beams delivery to the power plant. Until then, you've been running in the snow. Well, we're trying to run over top of the rocks, but not very successful with the Opafet. You have a great day.